This campaign takes place using a completely homebrewed system and setting. There's a race called the Vex, which means they are either the most annoying monsters in Minecraft, or the race of Destiny with the best music. Oh my god! Oh, wait. They are essentially an OP magic slime race that get insane stat bonuses. Lame. Understandably, the whole party is Vex. I decided that I want to play a cyborg to stand out from the party. Issue here is that I keep failing my rolls because the game is horribly balanced for anyone that chooses a race other than the Vex. Wisdom save, fail. Strength check, fail. It's annoying as hell because DCs are in the 20s, but my highest stat bonus is +5, so it often takes a nat 20 to just get close to succeeding. But I still fail anyway. Anyway, the DM introduces this NPC who tells us about this town where Vex and humans get along. We get there, and it's immediately apparent that by getting along, she meant that all humans in this town are slaves or property to the Vex. I negotiate with the town leader to offer my mechanical services in exchange for basic decency and not to be property. Once again, I fail a wisdom save because the guy has mind powers or something. That night, I, at least, get a house with a bed, something most humans in the town don't get. Instead, they get mud huts with straw. While I'm sleeping, I have a nightmare where the leader of the village somehow gets into my room and shackles me to the floor. When I try to headbutt him in the nards, I wake up, fall out of bed, and hit my head on the floor taking damage. Which actually sucks because hit points is not something most people have a lot of. I'm thinking about dropping out of the campaign because I don't want to deal with the fantasy racism and the blatant lack of balance. Sorry the story was a short read. I'll probably have longer stories once my Pokemon D&D campaign starts. One of my players acts like how he did the last time I tried to do my Pokemon D&D campaign. Okay, to be frank, if you're so certain it's going to be bad, don't let the guy play. But anyway, yeah, this story just sucks. Sucks almost as much as the Vex in Minecraft. Everything I hate these guys! Characters are just me as one of the players, and the Game Master is, well, the Game Master. There were 2-3 other players, but they aren't specifically important to the situation. At the time, I was playing in a long-term 5th edition campaign with some friends, and after a while, I started wanting to play more than just once a week. So I went to r/LFG. It can be good sometimes. Yeah, r/LFG to try and find a second group. And while it took a few tries, I finally managed to get accepted into one. Now, and this will be important to the story, we were getting along pretty well, but no one in the group knew each other beforehand. The r/LFG post was specifically to form an entirely new group with all strangers. It's been a while, so I don't fully remember everyone, but it surprisingly enough was going generally well. The Game Master and players all seemed nice. Maybe there was a bit of awkwardness, but hey, who isn't awkward when meeting brand new people? At first, we played D&D 5th edition, and to keep it short, it was going fine. Some players had to leave, but other than that, there were no big issues. But after around a month and a half, the Game Master brought the idea of changing up to a cyberpunk campaign. And as it was 2022, right when cyberpunk edge runners were getting extremely popular, we were all up to start basically immediately. I was extremely excited for it, even to this day. Edge runners is one of my favorite pieces of media ever. Literally, I was shaking with excitement, even when we just had our session 0 to figure out character creation. Yeah, Cyberpunk is also one of my favorites. Not because of Lucy or Edge Runners, I mean, it's cool, but because of Songbird, man. Phantom Liberty is so good! I'll also note, this wasn't Cyberpunk Red, it was a custom system, basically an updated version of Cyberpunk 2020, and it seemed amazing. The GM even commissioned an artist friend to make character sheets specifically for the system. And then, I think this happened the week we're gonna play, something went down. We didn't get the full context, but basically, the GM fell from the top of a ladder and hit his head on the ground. Me, whenever I want to hang up any of my LEGO sets. Yeah, no. Thankfully, he went to the hospital and it was fine. We just had delayed things for a week or so. We, the players, were a bit worried about him, but we were sure to tell him he could take all the time he needed, and to be careful in case something serious came out of the event. Next week's game time came along. We were planning on finishing character creation. New systems are hard to learn. And we even thought about playing too, except the Game Master never showed up. He was already not answering texts for the past few days, but we thought he was just busy. We waited in voice call for about an hour, but nothing. Radio silent, both in the game server and the DMs. We thought maybe he just overslept, which he had done once before, or got a last minute thing going on, so we left voice chat and waited for about 1 to 2 weeks, but still, nothing. One of us brought up the ladder accident, which got me really worried since I tend to catastrophize a lot. So I started to think that our game master might have actually died. The fact that none of us had any way to contact him IRL only made my fears worse. After a while, the stress really got to my head and I left the campaign server without telling anyone, just trying to forget all of that. Now this does have a kinda happy ending. I never spoke to the game master again, but I did check his Discord profile to see if he was ever online again, and for literal months he wasn't. After a while, I just stopped checking until on Christmas. I can't remember if it was 2022 or 2023. I, for some reason, remembered the story and went to check again, and now the only reason I know the game master is alive is because he added a little Santa hat to his Discord profile picture. And man, I was so relieved. I feel like I'd have a slightly different reaction. I come here on the 2nd anniversary of your end to lay this cheap store-bought succulent upon your grave, my friend. I'm sorry. I could not be there to protect you. Is that seriously all you could bring for me? Who are you? Wait, you're alive? I was so moved by your grief that I decided to reappear. I hope we can rekindle our friendship, for you truly meant so much to... You look kind of... Why do you look so... Oh God!
I honestly thought faking my death for 2 years wouldn't be that big of a deal. I thought you'd be happy to see me.
No! I am not happy! It was still a bummer at the time, not just because of me thinking the Game Master died, but also because, as I said, I was literally shaking with excitement to play the campaign. But even on that front, it's not all bad. I took a break from trying to find another game, but now I'm part of a Cyberpunk Red game and I'm loving it, to the point where I think Cyberpunk Red might be my favorite TTRPG system ever, at least that I've tried. I'm also using the exact character I was going to play in that custom game that never happened, and it's a blast. TLDR, group gets started on the new game, our game master had an accident in his head, went to the hospital, ended up fine, and then didn't show up to the session, or ever again for that matter, to the point where I thought he died. Come Christmas, and I finally got confirmation that they're alive because they added a little Christmas hat to their profile picture. Whew, thank God they're alive, because if they weren't, that ladder skit would have been real insensitive. But anyway, I think it is important to update people on your, well-being, especially after you have an accident like this. It's basic courtesy. People do worry about you, even randoms that you meet online. Like, I don't think the people that I meet through YouTube are my best of friends, but if I tell them that I have a horrific accident and then disappear off the internet, I wouldn't blame them for being peeved if I reappeared without giving any sort of updates or information. I think the Game Master just got burnt out trying to design a whole new system because that kind of thing is hard, but even if I understand that, they should have given an update. Like, seriously, just a text message. It helps. So this was about 4 years ago, but I was reminded of it recently when I was reminiscing with my sister of our old D&D group. It consisted of me, the sorcerer, my boyfriend, now husband, wizard, boyfriend's brother, sister, and cousin, rogue cleric, and another rogue respectively, my sister, another sorcerer, and boyfriend's sister's boyfriend, the dungeon master. Oh my God.
It was the cousin of my boyfriend's sister, but it's actually the second cousin.
We never got to finish the campaign because everyone started moving away and getting jobs with schedules that didn't match up, but it was fantastic while it lasted. The DM was great and the storyline was rich and detailed, and all the players worked together well despite being first-timers. Well, except one. Boyfriend's brother, the rogue. We'll call him by his player character name, Scorpion. I'm kind of unsure of how he's supposed to be stealthy when he's always screaming, "Get over here!" But it just works. Yeah, Scorpion had clinically diagnosed ADHD, and we were all aware of that. For him, this boiled down to barely being able to remember anything anyone said in any conversations, but being able to watch an entire season of Naruto overnight, hyper-focus, and never once pausing to check the time. He was also very addicted to both smoking and vaping, so these things would often end up happening at the same time. Most of the time when I visited my boyfriend, Scorpion would be there on the porch for at least 70% of it, smoking or vaping and watching videos on his phone. An alien could walk through his front door and he would never notice. He was still perfectly wonderful to get along with, though you couldn't tell him anything important because he'd never hear you or remember. Anyway, when we started the campaign, we were all expected to fill in some gaps for Scorpion here or there because he'd stopped paying attention. And for a while that was okay, but after the first few sessions, combined with his love of smoking, it started really getting in the way of progress in the campaign. He'd zone out while the DM was narrating, start playing on his phone, playing with his toes, making himself comfy in the chair and dozing off. And then, when someone would try to get his attention or tell him what was going on, things like, "Hey, we're in combat, it's your turn," or "Hey, this NPC is asking you a question," he'd get confused, then frustrated, then he'd get loud that he'd lost track of what was happening. Sometimes he'd start arguing about what was going on, insisting that it was whatever was happening before he stopped paying attention.
Dude, you have to wake up! What? Godzilla is attacking! There's rioting in the streets. You need to grab a weapon. We have to be prepared to defend ourselves against any who try to invade our home and escape Godzilla's wrath. No! What? You woke me up. Okay, I want to go back to sleep. Dude, did you not hear me? Godzilla is No, he's not. Check the news! Go check the news.
In an unprecedented move, Godzilla is attacking this completely random neighborhood.
That is photoshopped. Photoshopped video? Are you serious? Okay, look out the window. Go look outside and... That is a deep fake. Real
deep
life...
fake, not real.
Deep
not real
fake? What?
Completely
How do you
fabricated.
even explain?
And the sound is just speakers. It's actually just an elephant.
Oh my God. This guy's
blowing.
stupid.
Then he'd get even more frustrated when he was called out. And then he'd say, "I'm gonna take a smoke break." And he'd go outside where he'd lose track of time watching videos on his phone for at least 20 minutes or more. Unless one of his siblings went outside and yelled at him to get his butt back inside. Our sessions were usually about 4 to 5 hours once or twice a month, and it was becoming difficult to make any real progress with Scorpion constantly being away from the table to smoke and get sucked into the video void. Ooh. Eventually, the DM stopped being particularly concerned about including Scorpion in the party's major movements, and Scorpion sort of just faded into being more of a spectator with occasional input. To be honest, I don't even think he knows the difference. Everything came to a head a few months later, though, when I decided to host a Halloween party at myself and my sister's house for our next session since it was the end of October. We were still living with our parents at the time, and 3 of our 5 family members had asthma, so I warned the other players beforehand, Scorpion was not the only smoker in the party, that my parents made it clear to me that they'd appreciate if the party could keep the smoking to a minimum, even if it was outside anyway, so that no asthma could be triggered. Everyone was fine with that, and Scorpion was also inadvertently forced to stay at the table. You could tell that the rest of the party was excited to see if Scorpion would be actively participating in the session, what he would do, because he'd essentially done nothing up to this point. Well, he definitely did something. Right at the beginning of the session, the party was walking through the woods, having just left the town where we'd been stocking up on supplies. The DM says, "Roll for perception," so we all roll, and guess who rolls high enough to hear a strange sound? Scorpion. "You hear someone crying," says the DM. "I follow the sound," says Scorpion, and follow it he does, with the party right behind him, to see 2 crying babies wrapped up in blankets, lying side by side on the ground in the middle of the clearing. Very suspicious. Not to Scorpion, though. "I'm gonna go pick them up," he says. 0 suspicion, no other observations, no other rolls. Scorpion walks right up to these babies, but the moment he steps into the clearing, he gets shot from both sides with arrows, and the 2 babies were actually goblins. Okay, hold on. Goblins aren't that small. Or maybe I've got my math wrong. Maybe babies aren't that big. I don't know. I've never seen a living baby before. I expect full baby to goblin mass conversion charts in the comments, alright? Chop chop, get to it. The goblins jump up, club him until he's unconscious. He rolls his death saves and they all suck. The DM narrates Scorpion being dragged away while the rest of the party watches from the shade of the tree line. He then says, if you can't retrieve your friend by the end of the session, he'll be considered dead, and I'll be forced to rip up his character sheet. Scorpion was furious. What do you mean? I thought you had a 3-strike policy with permadeath in this campaign. Yes, the DM answered, I do, but because of how little you pay attention, you entirely miss the fact that you've already died 2 other times. This will be your last. Scorpion hemmed and hawed a little bit more, getting louder and louder and just more childish, and then he finally huffed and said that he was going outside to smoke and got up from the table. Everyone else decided to take a quick moment to fill out some Halloween goodies I'd made and discuss our plan to try and save Scorpion. Half an hour passes by, and Scorpion's sister went outside to tell him to come back in so he could start playing again. He sat down at the table and became even angrier when he realized that there was nothing he was allowed to do or say for the time until his player character was safe and conscious again. He continued to forget several times over the next few hours. We spent the rest of the session trying to save Scorpion with very little luck on our dice rolls, the loss of a few player character pets, and even the death of another player character. Dude, I don't want to say skill issue, but like, come on, man. What are you guys doing? You're getting your butt kicked by goblins. It was easily our most stressful time during the game to date. In the end, we did rescue him, but he wasn't even grateful and couldn't even be bothered to try and pay attention to the rest of the session, even though it was his player character we were trying to save. And when we were able to revive him and he was back in the game, he stood up and said, that sucked, I'm gonna go smoke. And then he was outside watching videos until it was literally time for everyone to leave. Everyone was really irritated with him for a while after that, and even his own siblings briefly considered kicking him out of the campaign for his behavior, saying that him being there was a waste of everyone else's time and energy. But as much of a wrench as he throws into this campaign, nobody feels like they could really say much to him about it, because it's hard to pull apart which behaviors were ADHD and which parts were just pure Scorpion. Regardless of how anyone feels about it, it was a long time ago now, and I've started DMing for my sister and 2 of her friends, and it's nice to have a smaller, quieter, more focused group. We still tease Scorpion once in a while about how little of a participant he was in the campaign before or after that fateful Halloween session, and it's all just a story now. Now, before I get into the Scorpion problems, which definitely exist, I do want to point out that there really shouldn't be a point in your campaign where a player is non-participatory for hours. I do think in that case, Scorpion was right in saying that that sucked. Even if the guy had plenty of chances beforehand, I just generally think it's a good rule of thumb to not have a session turn out like that. Though, to be fair, Scorpion's character did essentially die fair and square, and really, I mean, what else are you expecting when a player character dies? Now, on the other hand, Scorpion himself, yeah, there are problems with this. Look, I have ADHD. Fall Cosplay has ADHD. My friend Kaden in my home game has ADHD. Trust me, I get it, but at the same time, Scorpion's level of inattentiveness and, frankly, disrespect is not warranted. It goes beyond the fact he has ADHD. It's the fact that he gets mad at everyone else when they try to pull him back. Look, I don't know what people are saying to him specifically, but if people are just saying, like, hey, it's your turn in combat, and he gets upset about that, that's on him, not on the group. That is a Scorpion problem. And frankly, not every group can accommodate every person. That's okay. I don't think Scorpion was putting in enough effort, and that means I think you're better off not having him in the game. Context. I was a minor, online, on Discord. Yeah, I know. I'm physically disabled, chronically ill, and have autism and ADHD. Keep that in mind for later. I started playing D&D before my chronic pain got so bad that I had to use a mobility aid, so I had some experience in the game, but never thought to play a disabled character for myself due to internalized ableism. I am not a native English speaker, yet I only play with Americans. I want to try and play online with an Italian group since I am Italian, and finally maybe make friends with people from my own country. I get in the server and I explain that while I have some experience, I am quite awkward because of my autism, I have memory issues, so I need help when making a sheet. Everything goes well though. I'm in voice chat with 2 dungeon masters. It's a text-based server with several DMs, but you'd also voice chat for sessions. Best of both worlds? And they're both friendly, and finally we start talking about character creation. Where's the bad stuff gonna happen? It's somewhere lurking. It's lurking! Now, I'm a sucker for making characters and OCs, so I already knew who my chosen character was at the time. I was hyper-fixating on my Firbolg druid, Quillith. She's a very cute, fluffy, and young Firbolg with an unknown past about the tragedy of her village because her protector/paternal figure basically made her live in a cave far away from his grief and their destroyed home to give Quillith a good life. You know, nothing too far of the realm for D&D characters. That was until I told the DM about Quillith as an outlet for me in my worsening health. Quillith, like me at the time, uses a cane and walks very slowly due to her chronic illnesses. Like me, I want to drive this point home because this was a way for me to grieve my partial loss of mobility and health. Quillith was, in a way, a stand-in for me and my issues. I wanted to play an adventurer that would be a representation of me, a cane user. I told them this, and I was excited, especially because I don't get to play disabled characters often. Again, content warning, gets bad from here on out. The two DMs, who mind you are adults, just able-bodied, tell me that I could have a disabled character, but that as soon as she got to the guild, she would be killed and revived, with the revive spell healing all of her issues. Man, they really think this is a good thing, don't they?
Oh, hi.
What the? Oh, I am hacking parts of this disabled person's body so that I can rebuild them as a perfected version of themselves. Oh God. Oh, why do you look nervous? I'm obviously helping this person. Look, they look so happy. Well, he's quite dead. Yes, but I'm gonna bring him right back. I mean, still, did you ask for consent? No! Of course not. I know best. Well then, isn't what you're doing quite evil? Yeah, right. Where's the... Yeah, see? No. You'll never take me alive! See? You're warned by the law. The law never is wrong about something being wrong.
For the record, it's actually wrong. Mathematically wrong. I don't think I need to explain in words how much of a 180 this was. I would have no say in this, it wouldn't be stopped, and I wouldn't have to deal with my character's chronic issues ever again. About my character that was meant to be, you know, disabled representation. I was left with my heart clenching in front of my desk and computer. I looked over to the side, seeing my cane resting against the furniture, and I was glad my computer didn't have a camera. I was close to crying, and my disabling anxiety was now eating me alive because this wasn't what I wanted, and I wanted to let them know that I hated this conflict. So I stammer around trying to explain that no, I don't want my character to be killed and revived and healed of all her disabilities, and that in fact disabled people, like, exist and should have a right to exist in media, including fantasy. I should have left right there and then, but like many autistic people, I felt compelled to explain myself so people at least understand where I come from. I often come off as argumentative to non-autistic people because of this, not to them. To them, I was just a misguided child that didn't know any better. They start ranting and going off about genuine eugenics, about how fantasy has no space for disabled people because there's healing spells, people replacing their, and I quote, lungs and arms to work in the mines. Ah yes, the disabled people yearn for the mines. They think disabled people wouldn't have a reason to exist. They go on, and the more they speak, the more I feel myself crumble, as all I heard was, you don't belong, and we will not make you fit in. I give in. I make Quillith able-bodied and get rid of the cane to spare her and me the pain of seeing her die and get revived by the guild's powerful medics and clerics. They approve the sheet and I start text role-playing. I get introduced to the guild. I write my intro, and I kid you not, as soon as I send my intro into the game, the edgelords come in and call my character fresh meat to play with, or whatever. I try role-playing, and this grown-ass man keeps trying to be an edgelord and harass my character, make fun of her for growing up isolated, and probably insulted her, if memory served me correctly. I mean, bro, the pie chart on that probably looked like this. I passively ask in out-of-character chats if she's gonna be harassed continuously like this, and the player goes, oh no, my character doesn't actually care about your character, and insert some more edgelord crap like, she's just a plaything, a pawn. Yeah, he just keeps harassing her, even though he quote-unquote doesn't care. It's like one of those, my character is a cloaked figure, standing in the shadows, and says, insert edgy thing. I get too uncomfortable and give up. First, I'm told my character will be killed and revived without my consent, and then healed. Then I'm told I'm not meant to be in media as a disabled person, and then I'm immediately harassed, and no one else wants to make friends with me and only keeps being edgy or ignoring me. I go radio silent and wait a few days while this keeps happening in the span of 1 day on the server. I wait for an appropriate, "You've been offline long enough, so people either gave up on you or it won't be suspicious or rude to leave," because, well, anxiety and overthinking. At this point, I just leave and I'm left hurt. The not even good ending, the neutral ending, is that Quillith is now disabled again. I made her disabled, and she uses a cane, and there's other disabled people in the server. In this server, I'm seen and not left wanting for representation. I haven't played in a campaign with Quillith ever since because my D&D experiences have been few and far between, and none of the campaigns I played in would fit the story and vibe I wanted for her. Not to say I don't have friends I play with who've had good experiences, but I feel like I never got justice for the events that happened, especially since I haven't played as Quillith yet. God, people who hate on representation like this just don't get it, do they? Representation isn't just good for its own sake. Representation also allows you to tell stories from differing perspectives. It makes stories more diverse and varied and interesting. Stories would be boring if we just told the same stories, but the same people, over and over and over again, wouldn't they? In my homebrew world, Crawford Cyrillish deals with a variety of physical ailments and walks with a cane. Not because of just representation, but also because it's an important part of his story and his arc. People like this just can't see that. They want the same stories over and over again. They want stories about them, and want that so bad, they'll banish the notion of stories about any other person. And that sucks. That's terrible. Not just for the people around them, but for them. Can you imagine being that hateful that you get upset that someone feels represented in a piece of media? I mean, come on. Get over it, bitch. That's a wrap. If you guys enjoyed, then you might enjoy our 10th Tomb actual play D&D podcast. I'm getting ready to record a cheeky little sequel series, so get caught up. It's linked in the cards. But before you go, please do leave a like on this one and subscribe to Crispy's Tavern so you don't miss any of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own stories or thoughts, you can go down in the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment. They're missing out. So let me know you made it to the end of the video. Hey, by the way, if you have your own horror stories, you can send them directly to us. There's an email down in the description down below. Send your stories our way for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. But hey, even if you don't have any stories, in essence, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.